Welcome to Talk to Me with Life Coach Natasha. My name is Natasha Sherman and I am your host. By profession, I am a life success coach. And as such, I work with people to powerfully and effectively create what they want for themselves and their lives. And my guests today are two women, Lorrie Smith and Carla Christoff, and they are doing exactly that, powerfully and effectively creating what they want. And they're here to talk about their journey of creating and growing a thriving and successful business called MangoTango, Laptop Bags with a Personality. Did I get that right?
You got that right. She's the one with the personality, though.
Well, I don't think that's true. Okay, so Lorrie, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
When did you start this business?
We started this in December of 2003, and it was an idea that came to me after traveling the world for our previous jobs, and I was schlepping a laptop bag, and it was ugly, and it was ballistic nylon, and it didn't have anything to do with my sense of fashion, or was it utilitarian? So we came up with this idea, and we found out that there is a niche market, and we have been going after it ever since.
Wow. So, so you see that the laptop bags are boring.
Mm-hmm.
And not even necessarily utilitarian for women because we have different needs in what we carry, clearly. So then you have this brainchild, and where do you go from there? What's your next step?
Well, the one thing that we did look at before we started this company was what was out there. And what was out there for women were boring ballistic nylon bags, but maybe they had a red color or a pink color, and that was the extent of feminine qualities about the bag.
I have to interrupt you. What do you mean by ballistic?
It's a heavy, heavy-duty nylon. It's indestructible. And one thing women do not want is a bag that lasts forever. Men may want that, women don't.
That's true.
Women
That's
would
true. We want an excuse to
exactly,
get rid of it.
Exactly. So we look at our handbags and our product more, or not our handbags, but our laptop bags more like handbags, so that we change them with our outfits.
Wow, very cool. So did you know anything about where do you start? Making things, who manufactures them?
Well, both of us have a background in retail and in apparel, in sourcing as well as product development. So we're very familiar with what is available out there in the global world.
Oh, that
in terms
served you well.
Of factories and who's reliable and, all of the ins and outs of importing and exporting goods. So that really served us well in starting this business because we knew a lot of the tricks of the trade, per se.
So it's not like inventing the wheel. You took what you already knew and then moved with it, ran
exactly.
with it. Yeah,
Although we've made quite a number of mistakes along the way, but I think that that's probably part of the journey.
So what were you, did you leave a job to do this, or what were you doing up until you created MangoTango?
The funny thing was that I had a background in women's apparel, in sourcing and designing and merchandising, and Lorrie's background was in menswear. And we both changed careers and we went into home textiles, and that's where we met. And we continued to travel to Asia and all over the world, and we put our heads together and we said, okay, this is a need. It's a definite need. We see nothing of interest anywhere that we travel, and we decided to quit.
Wow.
And it was very, very frightening.
It was scary. We quit our corporate jobs to do this.
Okay, so I have a question because, one of the things I like to do when I interview people is to have other people see themselves in you and know that, there's something I can do that maybe I thought I couldn't. So what is it that you think that gave you the courage to do that?
I think for me, I can't speak for Carla because she's 29, but when I turned 50, I realized that I was making a lot of money for a lot of people and not necessarily for myself. And it was kind of a goal for me to see if I could actually do it. I've always had a lot of ideas, but I've never really acted on them. And I had the wherewithal and the time and the guts to do it at this point in my life.
Yeah. So you knew you weren't going to starve, but it still was risky.
It was very risky.
Yeah.
It still is risky.
Ah. Okay, so Carla, for you, I mean, what had you say, okay, I'm ready to take this leap?
I was frightened, and but I was bored with my last job, and I knew I could do so much better for my own self, for the company, but I was pigeonholed. And actually, Lorrie and I worked for the same company, and we kind of both felt that way, and we put our heads together and said, let's get the heck out of here. Let's not have any bosses. Let's not go through all the politics. It was really refreshing, and it still is, not to have the politics of a big corporation.
Yeah. You know what's interesting, though, in something you said, it's for bosses to know, for people who have people like you working for them, is the idea of being pigeonholed. And what that does, it kind of confines you, traps you, and then they don't get full access to everything that you have offered them. I don't know why that happens.
Exactly.
I think that people get, you know, stuck assuming that you can only do one function, and although you may do it extremely well, they're afraid to move you into some other area. And I think that's what happened to both of us, because we were both willing to grow and willing to move on into other responsibilities, but we just never were given the opportunity.
Yeah, so I guess it's playing it safe. You know, they have a good thing. Why would we change it? You
Exactly.
know?
But
Yeah,
they
except they lose you.
Exactly, but they hired us because we were from the fashion apparel world, which, as we all know, moves very, very quickly, and home textiles kind of is lagging behind. So they hired us for the exact same reason that then they pigeonholed us when
Yeah.
they saw what we could do. So, you know, that was, but actually that turned out to be great, because that's how Lorrie and I then took the final step.
Yeah. Okay, so you quit your jobs, and then what?
And got scared. No, one of the things we did is, because we have, again, our background, we have a business background, we understand the costing involved in doing this, we understand the importing and exporting and all of the difficulties with that. The first thing we did is we consulted a lawyer, and we we became an LLC, so that we sort of legitimized everything. And we talked to numerous friends and coworkers about the pitfalls and what we were going to run into. And one of my best friends has her own business. And the one piece of advice she gave to me was, stick with it. It'll take time, stick with it, you will make it through.
You know, it's interesting because it seems like such a trite thing. You know, you hear that all